Prepare yourself, because in this special video we are going to explore 12 signs that may reveal the presence of a malicious person around you. Have you ever had the feeling that someone close to you isn't exactly who they seem to be? As the philosopher Seneca said, "Evil often hides under the guise of good." And he was absolutely right. But don't worry, because today you will not only learn to identify these people, but also discover how to deal with each type of individual. At the end of the video, I will share the most surprising and common sign that we all tend to ignore and explain how we can use it to our advantage. And of course, if you find this content valuable, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any updates. Let's get started. First sign: pleasure in other people's misfortune. Have you ever wondered if you are surrounded by people with dark intentions? Imagine yourself at the office. You trip and spill your coffee. While trying to clean up the mess, you notice your coworker is discreetly smiling. Does that sound familiar? This is a classic example of what psychologists call Schadenfreude, a German term that means joy at the damage of others. Surprisingly common, up to 30% of people admit to having experienced this feeling at some point, according to a study by the University of Würzburg. However, what happens when someone seems to constantly enjoy the suffering of others? Here, things get interesting. Malicious people do not just experience Schadenfreude occasionally, they actively seek it out. It's like they have a radar to detect others' misery and feed off it. We don't want you to become paranoid just to stay alert. Observe how the people around you react when someone is going through a difficult time. Do they offer help or secretly delight in it? Philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer said, "To feel envy is human, but to delight in the misfortune of others is diabolical." A person who constantly finds pleasure in others' pain is like an emotional vampire, draining the joy and positivity from those around them. But all is not lost. Recognizing this sign is the first step to protecting yourself. If you identify someone like this in your life, it doesn't mean you should immediately cut ties. Sometimes a bit of compassion and honest dialogue can work wonders. Even Darth Vader had his moment of redemption, right? Next time someone smiles when you trip, pay attention. It could be a simple involuntary reaction or the tip of the iceberg of a darker personality. Remember, being informed is being armed, and in this case, your knowledge is your best defense. Second sign: need to control your life. Have you ever felt that someone tries to control every aspect of your life, as if you were a puppet in their hands? Let's dive into the world of obsessive control, which is anything but fun. Imagine yourself as a little mouse in a maze with someone moving the walls at their pleasure. Frustrating, isn't it? Being around someone with a need for control is like having a director running the movie of your life without your consent. According to Dr. George Simon, an expert in manipulation and behavior, this need for control stems from deep insecurity and fear of chaos. These people believe that if they don't control everything, their world will fall apart. But don't confuse these people with your concerned grandmother who wants to know if you are warm enough. We're talking about a level of control that would make even a dictator ask for calm. These people absorb your energy and freedom, leaving you feeling exhausted. Does this sound familiar? Many people find themselves trapped in these toxic dynamics without realizing it. But as Epictetus said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. The key is recognizing the signs. Does your boss obsessively review every detail of your reports? Does your partner want to know where you are all the time? Does your friend get angry if you don't follow their advice to the letter? Be careful. You may be facing a compulsive controller. You don't need to move to a cave in the Himalayas to escape. There are ways to deal with these situations without losing your sanity or humor. Set clear boundaries. It's like putting a "do not cross" sign in your personal life. And if that doesn't work, you can always pretend you lost phone signal. Remember, your life is yours and no one else's. Don't let anyone turn you into their personal puppet. Be the director of your own movie and make it a success. Third sign: strange feeling when you are around them. Have you ever had the feeling that something is not right when you are near certain people? Imagine yourself at a party, the music playing, people laughing, and suddenly someone enters and bam, the atmosphere changes. You don't know why, but you feel uncomfortable, as if your internal radar is warning, beware, toxic person in sight. What's really happening? According to Dr. Antonio Damasio from the University of Southern California, our brain constantly processes information, even without our conscious awareness. It's like having an internal lie detector, much more sophisticated. Our ancestors already knew this. Confucius said, "When you walk with two people, you can learn from both." But he didn't mention that you can also feel when one of them is an emotional vampire. We're not saying you should become a hermit, but pay attention to these subtle signs. Do you feel exhausted after talking to someone? Does your mood change when a certain person is around? This could be your sixth sense in action. How do you distinguish between a passing bad vibe and a truly toxic person? Consistency is the key. If every time you see John you feel like you've run a marathon, it may be time to reconsider this company. Sometimes, people who make us feel bad don't have bad intentions, but that doesn't mean we should ignore our feelings. As Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Next time you feel that chill in your stomach or tension in your shoulders, don't ignore it. Your body might be trying to tell you something important. It's like having a superpower. Detecting toxic people is a valuable skill nowadays, don't you think? Fourth sign, lack of responsibility. Have you ever met someone who always has an excuse for everything? Imagine yourself in a work meeting and your colleague arrives late again. "The traffic was terrible," he exclaims. Interesting how traffic only affects certain people, right? The attitude of avoiding responsibilities is an Olympic sport for some people. They have a PhD in blaming others and a master's in playing the victim. They are like magicians, but instead of pulling rabbits out of a hat, they pull excuses out of nowhere. According to Dr. John Grohol, this tendency is rooted in a deep fear of failure or criticism. These people have an invisible shield that deflects all responsibility. How do you deal with these champions of evasion? First, stay calm. Their lack of responsibility says more about them than about you. Second, be firm. If someone tries to blame you unfairly, don't be afraid to set boundaries. Imagine you are in a play and your scene partner forgets their lines. Instead of improvising, they blame you in front of the audience. What do? Keep your composure and continue with the play. Remember, you can't change these people, but you can change how you react to them. As Epictetus said, it is not things that disturb us, but our judgment about them. Next time someone treats responsibilities like an extreme sport, take a deep breath and remember, their lack of responsibility is not your responsibility. Keep shining, and if someone doesn't want to see it, they should put on sunglasses. Fifth sign, habit of lying. Imagine being at a meeting with friends and someone tells a story so incredible it seems taken from a movie. Everyone listens with open mouths, but you feel something is not right. Does that sound familiar? You might be dealing with a compulsive liar. According to Robert Feldman from the University of Massachusetts, in a 10-minute conversation, most people lie at least 3 times. Surprising, isn't it? But malicious people take this number to impressive levels. They have turned lying into an art, using words to create alternate realities with scary ease. As my grandmother used to say, they lie more than they speak. Why do they do it? They lie to gain benefits, whether to impress, manipulate, or for the pleasure of deceiving. These masters of lying have no limits. Don't think all lies are the same. Telling your partner you love their new haircut, even if it looks like it was done by a blind gardener, is different from inventing complete stories to manipulate others. Immanuel Kant said that lying is morally wrong in all circumstances. But let's be realistic. Everyone tells a little white lie. The difference lies in the intention and frequency. Malicious people lie as they breathe. They invent achievements, exaggerate abilities, and create non-existent dramas. They do this looking into your eyes with a conviction that would make anyone doubt. And you know what's more dangerous? These lies affect the truth and can have real consequences. Imagine trusting someone who lies about their financial situation or feelings for you. But not all is lost. There are ways to detect these masters of lying. Pay attention to inconsistencies in their stories, observe body language, and trust your instincts. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Studies show that people touch their nose unconsciously when lying, like Pinocchio. So next time someone tells an incredible story while scratching their nose, Another clue is when they avoid eye contact or stare without blinking. They're thinking, if I don't blink, they'll believe me. It doesn't work that way. Notice changes in tone of voice or overly elaborate responses. If someone details the color of the socks they were wearing when something happened, they're probably making it up. As Mark Twain said, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. Next time you encounter someone who seems to live in their own reality, put on the glasses of truth and look beyond the pretty words. Your peace of mind will thank you. Sixth sign, resistance to change. Have you ever met someone who seems stuck in the past? Imagine a rock in the middle of a river while the water flows and adapts. The rock remains immovable. These people cling to old habits and beliefs as if they were life preservers in an ocean of changes. I am who I am. Take it or leave it, they will say proudly. But is that really something to be proud of? Philosopher Heraclitus said, the only constant is change. He was right. These people are like a broken record, repeating the same mistakes. If you point out problematic behavior, they defend themselves with phrases like, I've always been this way, or that's just who I am. But be careful, don't judge. Often, this resistance comes from fear. Fear of the unknown, of failure, of discovering they're not as amazing as they thought. They live in a comfortable yet suffocating bubble. The dangerous thing is, if we surround ourselves with these people, we risk becoming like them. As the saying goes, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. Before you know it, you might be repeating the same excuses. Surround yourself with people who inspire you to be better. Look for those who challenge you to step out of your comfort zone. As Jim Rohn said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. To deal with these individuals, it's crucial to be patient but firm. Encourage openness to new ideas and show with personal examples how change can be beneficial. Don't let yourself be dragged down by their negativity. Remember, evolution is a natural part of life, and embracing change is essential for personal and professional growth. Seventh sign, exploitation of kindness. Imagine your friend Sophia, always willing to help, lend money, listen to problems. An angel, right? But what if someone decides to take advantage of this kindness? That's where malicious people come in, specialists in manipulation who see kindness as weakness. Dr. Albert J. Bernstein brilliantly explains, toxic people are like emotional vacuums, leaving you empty. They have a radar to detect kind souls and exploit them. How do they do it? They use tactics like emotional blackmail, empty promises, and guilt. If you were really my friend, you'd lend me money. I swear this is the last time. I can't believe you're abandoning me when I need you most. Do these phrases sound familiar? Be careful, you might be dealing with a kindness exploiter. But not all is lost. Kant reminds us that kindness is the only investment that never fails. But that doesn't mean we should allow abuse. Set clear boundaries and learn to say no without guilt. First, recognize your value. Your time, energy, and resources are precious. Don't apologize for taking care of yourself. Second, identify warning signs. If someone only seeks you out when they need something, never reciprocates favors, and makes you feel guilty, sound the alarms. It's not about distrusting everyone or stopping helping, but being wise in your kindness. As Ayn Rand said, don't say you have a duty to help. If you do, do it because you want to. True kindness comes from willingness, not obligation. So next time someone tries to take advantage of your generosity, remember, your kindness is a gift, not a right. You can be kind without being a doormat, help without exhausting yourself, and be good to yourself without stopping being good to others. That is true wisdom. Eighth sign, feeling that something is off. Have you ever felt that something is not right with someone close to you, but can't pinpoint what? Today, let's explore a crucial sign, the warnings of our loved ones. Imagine being in a relationship that seems perfect, but your friends and family frown when you mention your partner. Does that sound familiar? You are not alone. Our close circle often detects warning signs that we ignore. Dr. John Gottman, a relationship expert, reminds us that sometimes we are so blinded by love that we ignore red flags. But why should we pay attention to what others say? Think of yourself as a detective in your own life. Your friends and family are investigation partners, offering valuable clues. We're not saying you should run every time your Aunt Paquita frowns at your boyfriend. But if you notice a pattern, it may be time to take off the rose-colored glasses and take a closer look. An example is Maria and Carlos. Maria was in love with Carlos, but her friends warned about his controlling behavior. "He cares about me," she would say. But when Carlos started isolating her from friends and criticizing her decisions, Maria realized her friends were right. Aristotle said, "A friend is a soul inhabiting two bodies." Our true friends see things we don't because they have a different perspective. It's not about distrusting everyone, but balancing instinct and the opinions of those who love us. After all, these people will be there to help us if something goes wrong. Next time your best friend says, "Don't you think so-and-so is weird?" Instead of getting defensive, reflect. They may be doing you a big favor without you realizing it. And remember, you are the protagonist of your story. But it doesn't hurt to have a good team of advisors, right? More eyes see more than fewer eyes. Listening to the warnings of those who love us is a valuable tool to avoid falling into emotional traps and toxic relationships. Therefore, value the perceptions of your loved ones and use them as a guide to protect your emotional well-being. Ninth sign, contempt. Imagine being excited about a new project and deciding to share it with your partner. Instead of support, you get a cold look and a cutting comment. Do you really think you can achieve that? Don't be naive. This is the face of contempt. Contempt is a poison that undermines your confidence and is the favorite weapon of emotional manipulators. But why would anyone do that? Dr. John Gottman says contempt is the biggest predictor of divorce in any type of relationship. It's how toxic people feel superior at the expense of your well-being. Don't confuse contempt with constructive criticism. The difference lies in the intention. Constructive criticism aims to help you improve, while contempt only wants to sink you. It's like the difference between a coach pushing you and one delighting in your fall. Studies show that contempt not only affects the mind, but also the body. People who experience contempt are more likely to get sick. So be careful. Contempt not only hurts, it can make you ill. Recognizing contempt is the first step to protecting yourself. Next time someone criticizes your dreams, appearance, or achievements in a way that makes you feel small, stand firm and remember, their words say more about them than about you. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The opinion of others about you does not belong to you." Don't let disparaging opinions define who you are or what you can achieve. In summary, contempt is like that friend who always has something negative to say about your new haircut. No matter how fabulous you look, they will always find a way to make you feel bad. Remember, your value is not in their words, but in your heart and actions. Next time someone tries to belittle you, smile and think, "Thanks for the unsolicited opinion." And keep shining, because that inner light is exactly what toxic people can't stand to see. 10th sign, treatment of animals. Remember the words of Immanuel Kant. We can judge the heart of a person by their treatment of animals. He was right. But we're not just talking about extreme acts of cruelty. Sometimes mistreatment disguises itself as neglect or indifference. That neighbor who leaves their dog on the balcony all day under the sun, or the friend who forgets to feed their cat. These actions, though less dramatic, are equally revealing. What should you do if you encounter such a situation? First, don't look the other way. Indifference is complicit in mistreatment. Second, if it's safe, intervene politely but firmly. Third, seek professional help if necessary. Having an animal is not just a right, it's a responsibility. As Milan Kundera said, true human goodness can only manifest itself with absolute purity and freedom in relation to those who do not represent any force. The true moral test of humanity is its relations with those at its mercy, the animals. Next time you meet someone new, pay attention to how they treat animals. It can reveal a lot about their character. And you. How do you treat the beings that depend on you? Care and compassion for animals are profound indicators of empathy and responsibility. Showing respect and kindness to animals not only demonstrates a kind heart, but also reflects the capacity to care for and protect the most vulnerable. 11th sign. Absence of remorse. Have you ever met someone who seems to have no conscience? Imagine someone who committed a terrible act and instead of apologizing, looks at you with a chilling smile. Scary, right? That's how people without remorse act. Psychologist Robert Hare, an expert in psychopathy, describes this absence of remorse as a lack of moral consciousness. It's as if they have a faulty emotional switch that never turns on. How do you identify someone like this? Pay attention to these clues. They never sincerely say, "I'm sorry." If they apologize, it sounds fake. They blame others for their mistakes. "It wasn't my fault. It was yours for not explaining it properly." They minimize the damage caused. "Come on, it's not a big deal. It was just a joke." They get irritated if you ask them to take responsibility. "Why do you always make me feel guilty?" They quickly change the subject when you point out their mistakes. Kant said that moral consciousness is what makes us truly human. So what happens to those who don't have it? We're not suggesting they're extraterrestrial, although it seems that way. A Cambridge study revealed that people without remorse have reduced brain activity in areas related to empathy. It's like their compassion muscle is atrophied. But be careful. Don't confuse lack of remorse with the ability to forgive oneself. One thing is learning from mistakes and moving on. Another is not acknowledging them. What should you do if you meet someone like this? First, don't try to fix them. You're not an emotional repairman. Set clear boundaries and maintain a healthy distance. Remember, your emotional well-being is like a garden. Don't let someone without remorse trample it like an elephant in a porcelain shop. If you wonder if you yourself might lack remorse, the mere fact of questioning it is a good sign. Truly bad people rarely wonder if they are, so keep your eyes open. Next time someone hurts you and acts as if nothing happened, you know what's going on. It's not that they have a heart of stone, it's that their guilt detector is more broken than a clock without hands.